Hello and welcome to the Pathology News Podcast, your go-to source for the latest insights, innovations, and discussions in digital and computational pathology. I'm Al, and I'm here to introduce you to today's episode and our fantastic hosts. Joining us today are Mallory and Kai. They'll be exploring some of the most pressing topics shaping the world of pathology right now. So if you're a pathologist, a researcher, or just someone curious about the cutting edge of this field, you're in the right place. Here's what's on the agenda today. First up, hiring a new generation of young pathologists. What we want employers to know. The pathology landscape is evolving, and attracting the best new talent is more important than ever. We'll explore what young pathologists are looking for in employers and how institutions can better support and retain top talent. Next, we turn to BSetter, Hospital and AI's new role there, where they're at the forefront of integrating AI-driven decision support tools into their workflows. We'll take a closer look at how automation is transforming diagnostics in real-world clinical settings. And finally, we'll be discussing HER2 grading, how AI is advancing breast cancer analysis. HER2 status plays a critical role in breast cancer treatment, and artificial intelligence is offering new ways to enhance accuracy and efficiency in grading. We'll explore the latest advancements and what they mean for patients and practitioners alike. It's going to be a fascinating episode, so stay tuned as Mallory and Kai take it from here.
We're going to be diving into some fascinating listener-submitted material today on the challenges of hiring young pathologists. We've got an article here by Dr. Ale Kawam.
Sounds good.
She's a surgical pathologist. And she really paints a vivid picture of this generational shift that's impacting healthcare right now. And it's not just about, filling empty lab coats at this point. It's really about a whole new perspective on work itself.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how this new generation of pathologists is approaching their careers. And Dr. Kwan, being a millennial herself, offers a really unique insider's view. She argues that this generation isn't just demanding more, they're actually redefining what it means to have a fulfilling career in medicine, especially for everything we've all been through with the
pandemic and all the economic uncertainty.
Yeah, and she doesn't shy away from highlighting how those events really shaped their outlook. They're digital natives.
Yeah.
They witnessed firsthand the fragility of job security. And I think a lot of them saw how quickly institutions could prioritize profits over people.
Yeah, it's like that whole idea of, company loyalty. It kind of went out the window.
It really did.
When people saw that their jobs were expendable.
Absolutely. And it's not just about millennials either. Gen Z is coming in right behind them.
Oh, yeah. They're entering the workforce. That same mindset.
Exactly. And, growing up during these turbulent times, it's made them hyper-aware of burnout and mental health. And they're not willing to sacrifice that for a job.
It's almost like they're bringing the gig economy ethos into the world of medicine. They're looking for autonomy, they're looking for flexibility, maybe even portfolio careers where they can leverage their skills in different settings.
And this ties into their tech savviness too. They've been trained on digital pathology and automation,
which can really increase efficiency and improve patient care.
Right. But Dr. Kawam points out that a lot of them are getting frustrated because they're encountering resistance to those advancements.
It's almost like they're coming in with this toolbox full of shiny new tools, and the workshop is still stuck in the analog age.
Imagine being trained on all of these cutting-edge platforms.
Yeah.
But then you get to your job, and you're still using paper requisitions.
Oh, wow.
And all these manual processes.
That's got to be so frustrating.
It really is, and I think that disconnect is causing a lot of tension.
Yeah, I could see that. So how do these expectations actually translate into concrete differences between the generations in the workplace?
Well, Dr. Kwong uses this phrase, protecting your peace. And I think that really sums it up.
I like that.
For this generation. It's about setting really clear boundaries between work and personal life. The weekends are for recharging, not for catching up on cases. And personal time is non-negotiable.
Right. It's like they're pushing back against that always-on mentality that I think previous generations felt pressured to embrace. I think this generation is much more focused on results than face time.
That's a good point.
It's not about being chained to a desk from 9 to 5. It's about getting the work done efficiently and then having the freedom to actually live your life.
Exactly. And I think that emphasis on efficiency extends to communication, too.
Yeah.
Dr. Kwam even joked that they'd rather get a concise email than sit through an hour-long meeting.
Oh, no more death by PowerPoint.
Right.
That's music to my ears. But seriously, though, it really does highlight their preference for clear and direct communication.
Absolutely. Why waste time on formalities when you can get straight to the point? I think that's a key takeaway here. This generation values transparency and straightforwardness. They're not interested in playing office politics or navigating these complex hierarchies. They want open communication, clear expectations, and a collaborative work environment.
Yeah, and that really comes through in the article, this desire for a more egalitarian workplace. Dr. Kwam talks about how younger pathologists see leadership more as mentorship and collaboration rather than a strict hierarchy.
It's really interesting because it kind of challenges that traditional model where seniority equates to authority. This new generation seems to be saying, okay, we respect your experience, but we also bring valuable skills and perspectives to the table.
Exactly. It's not about disrespecting experience at all. It's just about recognizing that everyone has something to contribute, regardless of, how long they've been in the field.
Right.
And Dr. Kwam even suggests that this shift could actually benefit everyone by fostering a more dynamic and innovative environment. I can see that. So this leads us to some very specific requests that Dr. Kwam outlines. She starts with something that might seem trivial, but it's actually pretty symbolic.
Okay.
Getting rid of paper requisitions.
Oh, yeah, that's a great example of how a small change can represent a much bigger shift in mindset. It's about embracing technology, streamlining workflows, and eliminating unnecessary bureaucracy.
It's like if an organization can't even make that one simple change, it sends a message that they're resistant to progress.
Right.
And hesitant to adapt to the needs of a changing workforce.
Exactly. And it can be discouraging for young pathologists who are eager to embrace those changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so speaking of making things better, Dr. Kwam also addresses a big issue, burnout.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but it's so important to talk about.
She argues that organizations need to actively combat burnout by providing resources like access to therapy and promoting a more balanced workload.
It's refreshing to see that being acknowledged because burnout has been a problem in healthcare for so long.
Right, and it's often just ignored. But this generation seems much more open to discussing mental health and advocating for their well-being.
It's definitely a positive change.
Yeah.
And I think it's forcing institutions to take notice.
Yeah.
Dr. Kwam even says, we can tell boomers and Gen X are burnt out. They just won't admit it.
It's like admitting burnout was seen as a weakness before or a failure, but this generation is changing that narrative. They're saying, it's okay to not be okay, and we need to support each other.
I love that.
And by addressing burnout, organizations can actually improve patient care because a rested and engaged pathologist is going to be more effective.
Absolutely. It's a win-win for everyone involved.
It makes you think about the connection between well-being and the quality of care. It's not just about making the workplace more pleasant. It's about creating an environment where pathologists can actually thrive.
Right. And that leads us to her final point, the need to hire more pathologists.
Yeah.
She argues that this isn't just about easing workloads. It's about ensuring sustainable practices and improving patient safety.
It makes sense. If you have pathologists who are overworked and stretched thin, the quality of their work is going to suffer.
Exactly.
Investing in more staff is an investment in the long-term health of the profession and in the patients they serve.
And she's very clear about this. She says the old ways are gone. Hospitals need pathologists. But the ideal pathologist doesn't exist in today's market.
Wow.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But hiring this generation is really the only option.
That's a powerful statement. She's basically calling on institutions to adapt and recognize that the talent pool has changed. The ideal candidate might not fit the mold, but they bring a fresh perspective and a unique set of skills.
And at the end of the day, pathologists are physicians dedicated to serving patients. They're just asking for the resources and support to do their jobs effectively.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening. We've covered a lot. Generational differences, technology, burnout, the evolving demands of the workplace, and the future of pathology. What stands out to you as the most important takeaway?
Well, for me, I think it's that shift in perspective on what a career in healthcare should actually look like.
Yeah, it's not just about accepting a job and putting in your time. It's about finding a role that lets you thrive, both professionally and personally.
Right. And I think it speaks to the changing landscape of work in general. This generation has seen economic instability and rapid technological advancements. They're approaching their careers with a more entrepreneurial mindset.
It's like they're saying, I want to make a difference, but I also want to live a fulfilling life outside of work.
Exactly, and they're challenging these institutions to adapt to that new reality.
And that's where Dr. Kawam's call to action really comes in. She's not just highlighting the challenges, she's offering solutions.
Right.
She's urging organizations to embrace technology, to prioritize employee well-being, and to foster a more collaborative and equitable work environment.
It's like a roadmap.
Yeah.
For creating a workplace that actually attracts and retains top talent.
Yeah, by investing in those areas, organizations can not only meet the needs of this new generation, but also create a more sustainable and rewarding environment for everyone.
It's about moving beyond that transactional nature of employment and creating a real partnership between the organization and its employees.
So when pathologists feel valued, supported, and empowered, they're going to be more engaged, more productive, and more committed to providing that excellent patient care.
Absolutely.
So to bring this all back to you, our listener, whether you're a pathologist yourself, part of a hiring team, or just someone interested in the future of healthcare, this deep dive has hopefully given you a lot to think about.
Yeah, Dr. Kawam's article really serves as a reminder.
Hey guys, it's Al. I'm back. We're moving on to the next article, and you won't want to miss this one. Getting into the thick of it in the next discussion on artificial intelligence decision support and diagnostic automation in the Pathological Anatomy Department of BCETRA Hospital. BCETRA is leading the way in integrating AI into pathology, showing us just how powerful this technology can be when combined with expert human oversight. From streamlining prostate biopsy analysis to improving diagnostic accuracy, AI is playing a key role in the future of pathology, and we're here to break it all down for you. Before we continue, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our Spotify channel so you never miss an episode. That's enough from me. Let's get back to Mallory and Kai for a deeper look at how BCETRA Hospital is leveraging AI in their workflows. Take it away, guys.
So we're going to be focusing specifically on how AI is being used to help pathologists over at BCETRA Hospital in France.
Okay, yeah, in France. I've heard about some of the work they've been doing there.
Yeah, they're doing some really cool things. And all of this is based on a recent article that we found about Aphoria Technologies and their partnership with BCETRA.
I'm familiar with Aphoria. They've developed some pretty groundbreaking AI stuff for pathology.
Yeah, and they're really kind of leading the charge in this whole area.
Yeah.
So I think what's really interesting about this is that it's not just, theoretical. Like, it's actually being used in a real-world setting to help patients.
Right, and it's addressing a very real problem, too. The shortage of pathologists is a growing concern worldwide.
Huge problem, yeah. And then you couple that with the fact that, the workload for pathologists is just constantly increasing.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Every biopsy, every tissue sample needs to be carefully analyzed under a microscope. That's incredibly time-consuming.
Right, and by BCETRA Hospital, I was reading that they analyzed almost 7,000 prostate biopsy slides last year alone.
Wow, that's a huge number. You can imagine the pressure that puts on those pathologists.
Absolutely, and that's where AI can really come in and make a difference.
So tell me more about how they're using AI at BCETRA.
Well, so Aphoria Technologies, they've developed this AI-powered platform, right? And it's designed to help pathologists analyze these slides much more efficiently.
Okay, interesting. And how does it actually work? Like, what does the AI do?
So imagine, like, you're a pathologist, right? You're looking at a prostate biopsy slide under a microscope.
Yeah.
This platform can actually, identify and measure the prostate tissue on the slide.
Okay, that's helpful already. Saves a lot of manual work.
Exactly. And then it can go even further and highlight areas that, might be cancerous.
Wow. So it's almost like having a second pair of eyes scanning the slide.
That's a great way to put it. And get this, it can even score those areas using something called the ISUP Gleason system.
I'm familiar with the Gleason score. It's used to grade the aggressiveness of prostate cancer, right?
Exactly. So a higher score generally means a more aggressive cancer.
That's incredible. So this AI is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, so to speak.
It is. It's taking care of a lot of the initial analysis, which then allows the pathologist to really focus on, the more complex aspects of the case.
It seems like a real game changer for the field. And how has it been performing at BCETRA?
Well, the results have been pretty impressive. They've actually seen a significant decrease in the failure rate of detecting cancer.
What kind of decrease are we talking about?
It's dropped from 7% to 3%.
That's amazing. That's a huge improvement.
It is, and that data was even published in Lancet Oncology.
Lancet Oncology, one of the top medical journals out there. So this is pretty significant.
Absolutely. And what's, I think, really important to highlight here is what this improvement means for patients.
Right, because ultimately that's what matters most.
Yeah, I mean, catching cancer early is just absolutely crucial for successful treatment and, survival.
Absolutely. The earlier you catch it, the better the chances of a positive outcome.
So it's not just about making things faster or easier for pathologists. It's actually having a tangible impact on patient care.
Yeah, it's really making a difference in people's lives.
It is. It is. But I am curious about something. With, AI doing so much of the analysis, does that mean that the pathologist is kind of like less involved in the process?
That's a good question, and it's something a lot of people wonder about. But in reality, it's quite the opposite. The AI actually acts as a powerful tool for the pathologist.
Okay.
It's almost like giving them an incredibly skilled assistant, to help them with their work.
Oh, I like that. So it's not replacing the pathologist. It's more like augmenting their abilities.
Exactly. The pathologist is still very much in control. They can review the AI's analysis, make any corrections if needed, and ultimately they're the ones who make the final diagnosis.
So it's more of a collaboration between the AI and the pathologist.
Precisely. A collaboration that's leading to some very impressive results.
That makes sense. So it's not just about accuracy. It's also about freeing up the pathologist's time so they can focus on those really complex cases.
Yes, and potentially even spend more time interacting with patients, explaining diagnoses, and discussing treatment options.
Yeah, that's such a crucial part of patient care.
It is, and AI can help facilitate that by taking care of some of the more routine tasks.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It frees up their time and, like you said, lets them focus on the more human aspects of patient care.
Exactly. And it's not just about the time savings either. This AI platform actually integrates really well into the existing lab workflow.
Oh, so it's not like, one of those things where they have to completely change everything they're doing to accommodate this new technology.
No, not at all. It's designed to work seamlessly with their current systems, from the slide scanners to the hospital's image management system. Everything's interconnected.
Okay, so it's like it fits right in with what they're already doing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is. And, by automating so many of these key processes, they're not only boosting efficiency, but also ensuring a certain level of consistency in the analyses.
Yeah, consistency is key, especially when you're talking about something as important as cancer diagnosis.
Absolutely. You want to make sure that every single slide is being analyzed with the same level of rigor and attention to detail.
Right. And this platform is helping them achieve that.
It is. And what's really cool is that, even with all this automation, the pathologist still retains that crucial element of control.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, let's say the pathologist is reviewing the AI's analysis and they spot something that the AI might have overlooked, some tiny detail or something.
Yeah.
They can actually go in and make corrections in real time.
Okay, so it's like a back and forth, like a true collaboration.
Exactly. It's a partnership between human expertise and artificial intelligence.
I like that. That's reassuring to hear. Sometimes when you hear about AI in medicine, it's easy to think that, the machines are going to take over.
Right.
But this sounds like a much more balanced approach, where the AI is really there to support the pathologist.
That's exactly right. And speaking of support, this platform can even help prioritize urgent cases.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so let's say there's a biopsy that needs to be analyzed as quickly as possible. The platform can actually flag that case and make sure it gets to the top of the queue.
Okay, so it's like a triage system for biopsies.
You could say that. Yeah, it helps streamline the whole process and make sure that patients who need immediate attention get it.
That's fantastic. So we've been talking a lot about prostate biopsies, but I'm guessing the applications for this AI platform extend far beyond that.
Oh, absolutely. This is just one example. We're seeing AI being used in all sorts of areas within pathology now.
Like what? What are some other examples?
Well, think about analyzing blood samples, for instance, or identifying infectious diseases. Even things like genetic testing. AI is starting to play a role in all of these areas.
Wow, so this really is kind of an AI revolution in pathology.
It is, and it's not just limited to pathology either. We're seeing AI being integrated into all sorts of different medical specialties.
That's true. I've heard about AI being used in radiology and dermatology, even in surgery.
Yeah, the possibilities are really endless. Imagine AI assisting with image analysis, diagnosis, even surgical planning. It's a truly exciting time for healthcare.
It sounds like we're on the verge of some really major breakthroughs.
Mm-hmm.
But with all these advancements, it's important to remember that technology is a tool.
Right.
It's not a replacement for human judgment and compassion.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, the human element in healthcare is irreplaceable. No algorithm can fully understand the nuances of a patient's individual circumstances.
Right, or provide that same level of empathy and support that a human doctor can.
Exactly. And I think that's something that's really important to keep in mind as we continue to develop and integrate these AI systems into healthcare.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, let's maybe shift gears a bit and kind of zoom out to the bigger picture.
Yep.
What does all of this mean for, our listener who might be hearing about this for the first time? What's the key takeaway here? I mean, this is really fascinating stuff, right? AI helping pathologists make more accurate diagnoses, patients getting their results faster. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. It really shows the potential of AI to make a real difference in healthcare. And, what's particularly exciting about this is that Bicetra Hospital is part of a much larger hospital system, the APHP system.
Right, which is like one of the largest in Europe, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah. So their success with this AI platform could have ripple effects throughout the entire system, potentially even beyond.
Right, exactly. And, we've been focusing on pathology here, but the potential applications for AI and medicine, it's almost limitless, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I think we're just scratching the surface right now. We've talked about radiology and dermatology and surgery, but there are so many other areas where AI could be incredibly valuable.
Hey listeners, back again. Let's move on to our last article for this week's roundup, one that could change the way we diagnose and treat breast cancer. Our next topic focuses on HER2 grading, how AI is advancing breast cancer analysis. HER2 status plays a key role in determining effective treatment plans for patients, and AI is stepping in to bring more precision, consistency, and efficiency to this critical area of pathology. With challenges like variability in grading and the need for standardization, digital tools are proving to be a game changer in ensuring patients get the right diagnosis and the right treatment faster than ever before. If you'd like to learn more about anything we've covered today, don't forget to check out the quick links in our newsletter for the full story. Now, let's turn it back to the one and only, Mallory and Kai, as they break down how AI is transforming HER2 grading.
Welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's been making waves in the oncology world. AI and how it's transforming breast cancer diagnosis and treatment.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see how rapidly this field is evolving.
Yeah, and you sent over some cutting-edge research on HER2 grading in particular,
Yeah.
and how AI is playing a really crucial role there. And we're going to break it all down, for our listeners today. What's so fascinating is that even patients with minimal HER2 expression, they might now benefit from targeted therapies. So getting this grading right, it's more critical than ever.
It is, yeah. It's absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
And that's where AI is really starting to make a real difference in clinical practice.
So let's sort of back up for a second and start with the basics for anyone who might not be as familiar. What exactly is HER2 and why is grading it so important?
Okay, so think of HER2 as a protein.
Okay.
And this protein, it can sometimes go a little haywire in breast cancer cells.
That.
So when this protein is overexpressed, it basically acts like fuel on a fire.
Uh-huh.
It makes the tumor grow more aggressively.
So it's kind of like a gauge on a gas tank almost, showing us the level of HER2 and how aggressive the cancer could be.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a perfect analogy. It's like a gauge.
Yeah.
And based on that reading, doctors can determine if a patient would benefit from certain therapies, specifically things like HER2 inhibitors, which are designed to block this protein and really put the brakes on those aggressive cancer cells.
And I see this research paper mentions a scoring system. It's a 0 to 3+ scale.
Right.
With 0 being HER2 negative, so no expression, and 3+ being the strongest positive. But I'm guessing it's not always so black and white.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Those in-between scores, like a 1+ or a 2+, those can be really tricky to interpret. That's where the techniques like IHC and KSH, they come into play. Think of IHC like highlighting a passage of text in a document. It helps make the HER2 protein stand out under a microscope. Then FFH, it's like you're taking a magnifying glass and zooming in on those highlighted sections for a closer look at the genes themselves.
Oh, okay. So IHC is like the initial scan, and then FH is the more detailed analysis if things aren't totally clear.
Precisely, yeah. And while both are valuable tools, this research highlights that there are some inherent, challenges or flaws, I guess you could say, that sometimes make this whole grading process a bit of a puzzle.
Okay, so what is it that makes this puzzle so tricky to solve then? What are some of those challenges?
Well, even with established guidelines, there's always a degree of human judgment involved, right?
Yeah.
So one pathologist might see a staining pattern on a slide and interpret it slightly differently than another pathologist.
And I imagine the guidelines themselves, they could vary between different labs, right? And then even just the quality of the biopsy sample, that could throw things off too. So it sounds like there's a lot of room for variability, especially when you have those in-between scores.
Yeah, you're hitting all the key points there. And this uncertainty, it's not just an academic exercise. This can have a real impact on patients and can lead to delays in getting the right treatment. That's why this research on AI is so exciting, because it suggests that AI might just hold the key to solving this puzzle.
AI stepping in to solve this puzzle. It's pretty remarkable. How does it actually work?
It's really all about analyzing digital images of these biopsy slides. But AI doesn't, get tired or distracted like we do.
Yeah.
It can look at these slides in a much more objective and consistent way, using algorithms to spot even the tiniest variations in cell staining and patterns.
So it's like having the superpowered pathologist examining those slides with just incredible precision.
Yeah, in a sense, yes. It's not about replacing pathologists entirely, but giving them a powerful tool, to enhance their work.
Yeah.
Especially in those borderline cases where the diagnosis isn't so clear-cut.
And you mentioned this term segmentation. What does that mean in this context?
Imagine the AI algorithm dividing the slide up into this microscopic grid.
Okay.
Almost like a checkerboard.
Uh-huh.
And then it analyzes each tiny square, scrutinizing, cell membranes for subtle clues that could indicate the presence of HER2. This level of detail would be incredibly time-consuming for a human, but AI can do it, quickly and efficiently.
That's amazing. And since we're now seeing that even low levels of HER2 might be targetable with these new treatments, this kind of precision is more crucial than ever.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, AI could help us identify patients who might have been missed before, potentially opening up new treatment options. And because it can analyze these slides so efficiently, it could also speed up the whole, diagnostic process, which means patients get answers faster.
Yeah, that's a game changer for sure. Less waiting, less uncertainty. But the research does mention some caveats, right? Like implementing AI, it's not as simple as just, plugging it in and letting it run wild.
That's true. Each lab would need to validate the AI algorithm internally, make sure it's as reliable as the traditional methods. And then there's the question of integrating AI into existing workflows, training pathologists to use this new technology effectively.
So it's not like a quick fix, but rather a long-term investment in transforming the way we approach breast cancer diagnosis and treatment.
Exactly. And if you think even further down the line, consider the implications of AI, not just, assisting pathologists, but potentially even automating certain steps in the diagnostic process. It raises some really interesting questions about the future of healthcare.
That's a great point. Yeah, it sounds like AI could revolutionize not just HER2 grading, but diagnostics in general. This research definitely gives us a lot to think about. What stands out to you as like the most significant takeaway from all of this?
For me, it's the potential for AI to bring this new level of objectivity and precision to a field that's always relied very heavily on human judgment. And with the emergence of these new treatments for low HER2 expression, that precision is more crucial than ever.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's really about harnessing the power of technology to make more informed decisions and ultimately improve outcomes for patients. But before we get too carried away, it's also important to acknowledge the potential challenges and make sure that AI is implemented responsibly. It seems like AI is poised to really revolutionize healthcare as we know it. What other potential benefits do you see on the horizon?
Well, one thing that really strikes me is the possibility of democratizing access to really high-quality diagnostics.
Right.
Imagine a world where these AI algorithms, They can be used even in remote areas, allowing patients everywhere to benefit from that same level of accuracy that we see in major medical centers.
Yeah, that would be incredible. It would be a huge step towards reducing those healthcare disparities and ensuring that everyone has access to the best possible care regardless of where they live.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's not just about geography, right? AI could also help address the growing shortage of healthcare professionals, particularly in specialized fields like pathology.
Oh, that's interesting. So instead of replacing pathologists, AI could actually help them be more efficient and free up their time so they can focus on the most complex cases.
Yeah.
That's a collaboration that benefits everyone.
Precisely. It's about using technology to build a more efficient and equitable healthcare system.
Yeah.
One that can really meet the needs of a growing, global population.
This deep dive has been so insightful. It's really opened my eyes to the potential of AI in healthcare. What would you say is your biggest takeaway from all of this?
I think what's most remarkable is the ability of AI to bring this new level of objectivity and consistency to a field that's always relied so heavily on human interpretation. And especially with, all these new treatments emerging for low HER2 expression, that precision is just absolutely crucial.
I completely agree. It's really highlighting how powerful technology can be when it comes to helping us make more informed decisions and ultimately improve outcomes for patients.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. It's been a fascinating conversation.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has, sparked your curiosity about the role of AI in shaping the future of healthcare. It's an incredible journey that we're all on together.
It is, yeah.
So keep exploring, stay informed, and join the conversation.
That brings us to the end of this week's episode. A huge thank you to Mallory and Kai for guiding us through today's discussions, and of course to all of you for tuning in. We hope you found these insights valuable and engaging. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to check out Pathology News for more in-depth articles, research, and updates from the field. Before we go, a quick disclaimer. This podcast was scripted with the help of AI. We strive to bring you the latest and most accurate information, but if anything seems off, we encourage you to double-check with the original sources on Pathology News. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.